We're ending the week on a mailbag. Did the C's win the summer? Did they set the blueprint for the NBA? And was Bill Russell left off a very exclusive list? It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix, and 3 from KP. No, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Deuce, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and Jay's how it started, raising banners, how we finish. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, every Monday through Friday. Now this is the Friday show. Next week, we're Monday through Friday, August and most of September, 3 days a week. But camp opens early, so we'll be back to 5 days a week sooner than usual. And if something happens over the course of August and September and I need to go 4 or 5 days a week, I absolutely will. There's nothing that says I have to go 3 days a week, but that's what you should expect. Are slow, but that's okay. It's still a lot more Celtics podcasting than you're going to find anywhere else. It's free. It's there for you every day or 3 days a week. So make sure you're subscribed. I'm John Karalis. Used to play a long time ago. Now I'm covering the Celtics as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've also written Built Different, a commemorative book celebrating the Celtics championship season. Find that at local bookstores, wherever you go get your books. Or if you're in New England, try a Walgreens, try a BJ's, try a Sam's Club. They're over there. Wherever you are, we're trying to find you there so you can find them pretty easily. I am going to start planning out book signings. I am going to start offering soon signed books on my website. Also, the book plates. So if you've already bought a book, you can just stick the inscription on the book there for somebody. That's coming up. Mailbag show today. And I'll probably do a mailbag on Monday. But also it depends. I don't actually have the Celtics, the Team USA schedule in front of me. I will kind of modify things as Team USA plays, and I want to get into some of that stuff. But mailbag here, you can find the mailbag questions submission form at johnkaralis.com/mailbag, johnkaralis.com/mailbag. Please note, I can't get to all of the questions. I try to find some that are indicative of others. And just because you submit a question does not mean it will get answered. Most, like 99% of the questions are good. 1% of the questions are somewhat on the inappropriate scale. And so those don't get answered. But hey, it's a pretty good ratio, if you ask me. All right, later on, we'll get to the Bill Russell thing. We'll get some Team USA questions and answer the C's blueprint. Did they set the blueprint for this, for the NBA? Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, sports, they start to slow down, but FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. So there's something for everyone over at FanDuel.com. Go there to get started. We'll start with Adam, who said a lot of national pods have been doing off-season winners and losers. They keep saying the same. The Knicks, OKC, Philly, blah, blah, blah. Not even mentioning the C's. I would argue that the Celtics had the best offseason of anyone. Doesn't extending Tatum and White and everyone beat out some crappy Paul George signing? Or, oh my God, Hartenstein. Okay, so I understand the point. And the Celtics were able to get everybody back. And that's important. I think the Tatum extension was basically a foregone conclusion. I know you might not think so, but it was a foregone conclusion. He was never going to sign anywhere else. The blueprint there is simple. Same thing with Jaylen Brown. You sign that extension, you get your absolute maximum money. If something happens along the way and you need to demand a trade, you go ahead and do that. Not that I anticipate that at all, but that's, you sign this deal and then you say, if you're Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum or a player that good, if it goes bad, you can be like, okay, you know what? We've run our course and we can get out of here. So that was kind of a done deal. But I will say, getting Derek White on a team-friendly deal was important, and they did that. Getting Sam Hauser even on a team-friendly deal was important, and they did that. They brought back important players, important role players, and they're running back basically the exact same team plus Baylor Shireman, and that's important. Did they win the summer? I get why other teams are obviously, the Knicks got better, the Thunder did get better, Philly did get better. Is re-signing everybody, bringing back a championship team better than Philadelphia? Yeah, because you're bringing back a championship team. It's proven. It's a winner. But at the same time, Philly, in a roundabout way, turned Tobias Harris into Paul George, and that's a significant upgrade. The Celtics, it was kind of impossible for them to get any better. Obviously, they won a championship, but they didn't really have any tools to go out and sign anybody. The Sixers got significantly better. The Knicks got noticeably better. So I understand why those guys get the accolades, because they did get better. But the Celtics, it should be mentioned. It should be included in the discussion of when you say winners and losers. You can include the Celtics in the discussion of like they're winners just because they brought back a championship team in an impossibly complete way. So that is something to be celebrated. Andrew says, after your win total episode, I went on FanDuel and saw that the Cavs were plus 280 to win the Central Division. Any chance Cleveland finishes ahead of Milwaukee in the regular season standings? Yeah, there is a chance. Milwaukee did make some moves to address some of the shortcomings defensively, but at the same time, Dame is still a liability and just getting older. And so is Brook Lopez. And a lot of these, Chris Middleton tends to not be entirely healthy. So I think there's a real possibility that the Bucks don't improve a whole lot on 49 or 50 wins. They're 49 wins last year. They were 50 in the FanDuel win total episode. And how much better are they going to be? Maybe 51, maybe 52. How much better? I don't know. But also they could figure it out. The Cavs had some issues last year. They worked some things out with Darius Garland. They obviously brought back Donovan Mitchell. They have the potential to make some noise and be right there with the Milwaukee Bucks. It could come down to the last week of the season to determine whether they finish ahead of Milwaukee in the standings or not. And there will be some potential tanking of games involved between 2, 3, and 4 to try to get in or out of the first round matchup or a collision course early on with the Boston Celtics. For example, Philly, I think if Philly is third, they might want to drop to fourth and get into a potential second round matchup with the Celtics, because that's when Embiid will be his healthiest. So they may not want to push off a meeting with the Celtics. They might want to get it as soon as possible. So they might actually try to manipulate things. And then it depends, who are they playing? Are they playing the Cavs? So there's a lot there at play. But to answer the question very directly, is there a chance that Cleveland finishes ahead of Milwaukee? Absolutely. There's an absolute chance that Cleveland could finish ahead of Milwaukee in the standings. That might be for the third or fourth seed, but there's a real chance there. And let's wrap up this segment with Igrit, who says, do you believe there's a world where we could get our fan favorite players that were traded away back within this upcoming season alongside our top six? Now, normally I would give a very Rick and Morty answer, to say infinite timelines, there are infinite possibilities. And in one of those possibilities, there's not a collective bargaining agreement that's restrictive. But as long as they are under this bargaining agreement, there is no way that the Celtics can trade for any of the fan favorites because they all make too much. And there's just no chance that they're going to give up any of their top 6, 7 guys in order to reunite with any of those other players. They just cannot do it. I hate to say this, and I know fan favorites are always going to be lingering there. Can we get this guy back? Can we get that guy back? All of the fan favorites make a real good amount of money. It's not possible for the Celtics to really trade for them, or it might be possible. It's extraordinarily improbable, not impossible, but extraordinarily improbable. So I hate to say it. Those guys are probably gone. Let's take a look at 2-3 years from now. Lots of questions about what happens in a couple of years for the Celtics. So we'll get to that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Sports have slowed down a little bit over the summer. Yeah, there's baseball. Yeah, there's the Olympics, but things have taken a little bit of a break. But that's okay. There's something for everybody here on FanDuel because every day, all summer long, there's something for everyone with a boost or a bonus. Every single customer, doesn't matter if you've been there or if you're new, everybody gets a bonus. So head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. We've been talking about win projections and MVP and awards odds and all that stuff. I didn't mention that the Celtics are favored to win the NBA Cup. So that could be a little fun thing for you to throw plus 450. So plus 450 for the Celtics, plus 750 for the Thunder, plus 850 for the Bucks. So if you're interested in NBA Cup odds or any other futures for the NBA or anything else, Major League Baseball, anything, head on over to FanDuel.com. Start making the most out of your summer. Use the tools that they have available to you so you can gamble responsibly at FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On Sports Today, streaming 24/7 on YouTube and on the Amazon free Fire TV channels app. It's real sports talk, all the big sports stories, all the big conversations with the Locked On experts. Put it on, leave it on. Don't go for those network fake arguing shows. This is real talk to get you real insight on those big, big stories. Let's get back to the mailbag. These are future questions. We're moving past this upcoming season. Reno, I have very theoretical questions for you. Let's say the Celtics win it all again next year. Ownership runs it back again, and they three-peat. Ooh, okay. I like the premise there. At this point, the payroll would be impossible, and Al and Drew would probably need a break. If the team keeps just Tatum, Brown, and White and fills the roster with minimum contracts, how well can that team do? So in that scenario, which I think is a fairly likely scenario, especially, I mean, if they three-peat, I don't think they're going to bring the whole team back. They're going to start having to move on. But if they three-peat, they might, maybe, possibly say, all right, we'll maybe, keep pushing this until it falls apart naturally. But let's just say they go, okay, hey, 3, wow, banner 19, we got it. Banner 20, wow, we got banner 20. It's getting so expensive, we've got to move on. Tatum, Brown, and White. That's pretty close to what the cap will be on its own. But at that point, they have exceptions. They can use a mid-level exception. They can make trades. So they can move a lot of the contracts that are around. They can start participating in maybe a sign-in trade. They can start. So it doesn't have to be minimum contracts. They can start going out and finding other players. They're not bound by, like, the second apron stuff is gone. They'll be under the first apron. So they get to do things that can add talent. Now, Tatum, Brown, and Derek White would be a hell of a starting point. Also keep in mind that the rest of the league, and this is kind of the genius of Brad Stevens and the front office, in a couple of seasons, by that point, the real effects of this second apron and the collective bargaining agreement will be taking full effect around the NBA. Teams are going to start lining up financially. The big spenders are going to kind of go away. There's going to be one or two here or there. They're going to do what the Celtics did here or there, but it's going to be quick, fleeting. It's like a solar flare. Just all of a sudden, boof. There's one big blast of energy, one big blast of, wow, that team's paying a whole lot of taxes. And then it dissipates, it goes away, and they have to make decisions too. That's going to happen here or there, but it's not going to be a consistent Warriors like deep run. What the Celtics are doing, that's kind of the way it's going to be moving forward. And I think in a couple years, if they do this stuff, they can do pretty well. They'll be better than 500. I think they'll be a winning team because the moves that they have that are available to them, and I trust Brad Stevens in the front office to have figured out some things maybe in advance of that to field a good team moving forward. So I think in that scenario where it's Tatum, Brown, and White, the only holdovers left, they will have done some things that would prepare them. And look, that might also mean that some of the role players do stick around, that maybe it's Tatum, Brown, and White and Peyton Pritchard, or maybe Shireman works out. Maybe Watson has worked out. Maybe Jordan Walsh has worked out, and those guys stick around on relatively good contracts. So keep that in mind as well. I think in that scenario, the Celtics can still be pretty good. They may decide to go full rebuild. I don't know. I don't think so, but that is a very up in the air type of scenario where I don't know what the landscape of the league. I don't know what the full effect is going to be in 2 seasons. So I'm really going to be watching it closely so I can start to get a feel for, all right, yeah, teams are going to start. Maybe teams pull the trigger on a rebuild sooner than you think because there's an opportunity to get back at it. And I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't pull the trigger on rebuilds. They just drag it out. So we'll see. Luke says, if we have to trade Holiday and Porzingis in the future, do you think we can get some young talent like Reed Shepherd, Cody Williams, Donovan Klingon, since this draft is seen as one of the worst in NBA history? Well, and who do you think the Celtics had? Who do you think on the Celtics has a sneaky Hall of Fame case? He mentions Holiday, Al Horford. I think let's start with there. Al Horford is for sure. I think he's a fringe. He's on the fringes right now. I don't think Holiday has the numbers, but he's had a real strong impact. I think Horford has some good numbers. He has a great college career, 2 college championships, 2 NBA championships. If we get to that point, a third in an ultimate best case scenario. But if he can win another one, and he has 2 NBA championships and 2 college championships, and he's been this effective for this long, you've got early good stats, you've got longevity, you've got championships at each level. There's a case for Al Horford. As far as trading one of those guys, Holiday or Porzingis, down the line, for it just depends on the how these guys play. We're talking about Holiday and Porzingis in a year or two now. That's by that time we'll know how Shepherd and Williams and Clayton have played. Are they good? Then no, you're probably not. Are they not so great? Then yes, but then kind of why would you want to? So you're the question marks now. Yeah, with the question marks now, there might be an opportunity if they decided to move Holiday during the season for some reason, let's say. But in 2 years, these guys, if they're being moved in 2 years, it's because they're not panning out. And that you might want to stay away from that. Quickly, Adam says, I can't believe people are already asking about tearing this team down. But since you mentioned it, does the new CBA make it possible to have a two-phase approach to building a championship team? We have our first championship window for the next couple of years, 2-3 years, then strip it down, duck under the tax/apron, and then go for it again when Tatum and Brown are in their early 30s. Can we see teams like the C's, OKC, and others with young talent do something like this? Yes, I alluded to that in my answer a couple of questions ago. I do think the Celtics are kind of setting a blueprint. The NBA with this second apron, if you do have young talent, there's a window there right around the end of their contracts where, like, before you get into that big supermax extension type, if you have a like OKC does, if you have super talent like that, you have a window of a few years where you can just be super expensive. If you're willing to pay the tax and do that, you have to be willing to do that. That's the key. And then it's going to be those quick bursts. Super, super expensive, tear it down. Then, duck under. And then if you get lucky again and you draft well, super expensive for a couple of years, 2-3 years, boom, boom, boom. And then you duck under again. So that, I think, is going to be the blueprint. Now, the Celtics are unique because of Tatum and Brown. You gotta have like great drafting for that to pan out. But if you have a homegrown talent and they're really, really good, and you can get super expensive and hold on to those guys while you hit a 2-year reset and try it again with one more run before you have to blow it up. Yeah, I think that is going to be what teams try to do. But not all owners are going to be down with that plan, and it's tough to get a team that talented. But this, at this point, feels like a little bit of a blueprint. All right, let's get into Team USA questions, including Bill Russell, and was he left off a list of incredible winners? That's next. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. It's the place to go for last-minute tickets. They're an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. I have used Game Time to get Red Sox tickets. I can go ahead and, if I want to, on a whim, use it again to go buy Red Sox tickets, because if I want to, last-minute deals, the prices tend to go down as you get closer to first pitch. So go check it out on Game Time. You can save up to 60% off on last-minute tickets for sports, plus also concerts, comedy, theater, all that stuff. You get flash deals that are exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. You can pick the section. It's called a zone deal. They will pick the tickets for you. You can save even more. Toggle that all-in pricing so there's no surprise fees on the app. You can get that seat view so you know exactly what you're getting into. And if for some reason you find that ticket somewhere else for less, you will get 110% of the difference credited to you on Game Time. So download the app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON, LOCKED, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make your second listen Locked On NBA. I host on Wednesdays with Jake Madison of Locked On Pelicans. We have a great time there talking about the NBA. If you missed our win total show this week, go check it out. Covering the whole league. I did the Celtics win total show. We did the NBA win total show on Locked On NBA. So go subscribe there. Watch the show on YouTube, just like Locked On Celtics. Let's wrap up this mailbag by dipping into some of the Team USA questions. And we're going to start with Jonas. Or is it Jonas? I never know. He says, for the love of God, why are there no real NBA players on the 3-on-3 tournament? You're telling me a team of Dame, JB, and DeMarcus Cousins wouldn't destroy all competition? They never get to play one-on-one in open space. I'm not sure they would miss. Heck, put Sam and Pritchard in there off the bench. It's a good question. It really is a good question. NBA players are allowed to play in the 3-on-3 NBA tournament. I think that would be amazing. Why not? And okay, so say Jaylen's like, nah, I want to be on Team USA. I don't want to be on this 3-on-3 crap. You're telling me that Sam Hauser wouldn't want to be on a Team USA 3-on-3 team? You're telling me like NBA players wouldn't want to be on a 3-on-3 team? You can't get me a few guys that would want to be on a 3-on-3 Olympic team. I would do it. I mean, I know it's a different sport, but it's still basketball and it's still a gold medal. And this is the first time the U.S. is competing in it. It's very new. So I say, why not? But Jimmer Fredette's on this team. A few guys I don't know. It's still probably a really good team, and it's a different brand of basketball. I think it would be fun. I think that might be more fun. I think like Anthony Edwards would be more fun to watch in a 3-on-3 tournament than in the 5-on-5. Do we really need him in the 5-on-5 or Devin Booker? Can like one of those guys just say, you know what? I'm going to go over to the 3-on-3 thing. Y'all don't need me. This is going to be a whole lot more fun. Ant 3-on-3 with open space. Are you kidding me? That guy would just, you better not miss if you're the other team. Because once he gets the ball in a 3-on-3 setting, no one's scoring on him. No one's stopping him. You're not getting the ball back. I think that would be a whole lot more fun. Give me those guys. Give me like LaMelo Ball. Like LaMelo Ball, I don't know if he's healthy enough to do it, but what he would be absolutely amazing in a 3-on-3 setting. Are you kidding me? That would be incredible. So yeah, I don't know why they aren't dipping into some of those guys. I think if I'm an NBA player, I might actually be like, I know I want to go literally have more fun playing 3-on-3 than this other thing. But I don't know why they don't. I can't tell you. Jude says, asks if KD or another person on Team USA gets injured, do they bring in another guy or do they just shorten rotations? That's an excellent question. They can bring somebody else in. I think at this point, maybe somebody from the select team would be just to fill in the end of bench. But they may just end up shortening rotations and trying to call in a guy that might be on their roster or is an injury replacement. I honestly, I don't know. That's a great question though. And it's kind of funny for me to include a question that I don't know the exact answer to. I couldn't find the answer, but I think they probably have some guys that they can bring in, but they probably don't need to because they're so deep. They're probably like, oh, phew, we don't have to. They're not going to go 12 deep anyway, so they don't need to bring another person in. And then Robert says, I saw a miscarriage of justice on ESPN. Keith Jenkins article titled "Players Who Won an NBA Title, Olympic Gold in the Same Year," and they mentioned MJ, Kobe, LeBron. He says, I find it egregious and easy to forget that Bill Russell also won Olympic gold in title in less than one calendar year. No one else, including Casey Jones, won gold and then immediately entered the NBA and won a ring. So the question here is, why wasn't he included on this list? And I think any list like this, if you have a way to finagle Bill Russell in, they should have done it. So to clarify what Keith was doing in this article, his premise was since 92, when NBA players were allowed, players who won a championship and then gold in the same summer. So the headline says same year, and that implies that NBA season and the adjacent Olympics. And that is, a little bit of a different list. But yes, Bill Russell, I think, could have been an asterisk on this list, right? They should have said with an asterisk, a little paragraph, Bill Russell did do this sort of by winning gold, then coming in and winning a championship with the Celtics. So he did have consecutive gold medal NBA championship. Now they were looking at it the other way, so I get it. I'm not gonna slam ESPN on this particular case because that's not what this was. But I am going to take every opportunity to give Bill Russell credit and say that he should be on a list of players who have won gold and an NBA title consecutively. It's just not the consecutively that Keith was talking about, but you gotta find a way. If Bill Russell is in any way tangentially associated with a premise, then you find a way to put his name in there. And I also included this question for a fun fact. Did you know that Bill Russell was an Olympic level high jumper? He was prepared to participate in the Olympics as a high jumper in case he was not allowed to participate on USA Basketball because he was black. There was a possibility. He wasn't sure if he was going to be able to play on USA Basketball because of his race. And if he wasn't allowed to play on USA Basketball, he was going to still compete in the Olympics as a high jumper, which to me is also freaking amazing. I mean, absolutely, what a boss. Be like, there's no way you're going to keep me out of these Olympics. And if I have to jump over tall things, I can do it because I can do that better than anybody as well. Because he's Bill freaking Russell and he's awesome. But he was prepared to participate in track and field as a high jumper if he was not allowed to play on Team USA. And there are some other things that could have held him off. But yeah, it's great. I mean, it's impossible to find a Bill Russell story that isn't just amazing. That's the mailbag. Once again, if you want to get a mailbag question in, it's johnkaralis.com/mailbag, johnkaralis.com/mailbag to submit your questions. It's the only way I get the questions. It's the only way I can keep track of them. It's the only way when I go look that they're in one place. Sorry, that's just it. I forget when you tweet at me. I forget when they're in their comments. I can't go back to like, oh yeah, someone asked me 8 shows ago in the comments. I can't, I'm sorry. Just the form on my website. That's the only place. So thank you for those of you who submitted questions. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. I try to get to them. And sometimes I don't get to your question because I feel like I've spoken about that question in a previous podcast. So I hope that you are listening to all of the shows. So maybe a question you submitted, I didn't see the question. It just organically got answered in a previous show. I talk a lot about the Celtics. So there's a good chance I might have said or addressed something that you wanted to know. Thank you for submitting your questions. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching and getting into the comment section on YouTube. Go do that. And I would love it if you shared the podcast and tell everybody, scream it. Just scream at random people. Tell them they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.